Next, we've got magnet mode. So what magnet mode does is it will help you with drawing precise trend lines on your chart. So we have weak magnet and strong magnet. So if I demonstrate using weak magnet first, you will notice that the icon has turned blue to show that magnet mode has been turned on. And what we'd have to do now is select any of our tools that we want to use to draw on our chart. So if I use a horizontal ray right here, so now that's selected, when I move my mouse, you'll notice that nothing happens until I get close to a candle or a bar and the mouse snaps to the nearest open, close, high or low. So as you can see, it's just snapped right there to the opening price of this candle. If I move down, it's just snapped again to the closing price of this candle. If I move down again, it just snapped to the lowest price of this candle. And if I move up, it snaps to the highest price of this candle. And as I move along these candlesticks, it actually snaps to either the O, the H, the L, or the C of these candlesticks. However, if I am far away from a candle, it doesn't actually snap. So that is the difference between the weak magnet and the strong magnet. Whereas if I give you an example of the strong magnet, once I select that, it snaps irregardless of how far I am from each candlestick or each bar. As you can see here, it's snapping to the lowest point or the low of each candlestick because I'm further away from the candlesticks. If I go closer, it will now snap to the high or the opening of each candlestick or the close of each candlestick or the low of each candlestick, as you can see. So this is very helpful when you're trying to be precise in your drawing. So for example, we may want to get this candle right here and draw a trend line. So what this has done is it's made sure that this line is precisely exactly on the high. As you can see, if I zoom in right here, you can tell that that line is touching the high of that candlestick. And if we give an example using a different tool here, if we use a trend line, let's say we want to connect these 2 points from this high to this high right here for this candlestick. So you can see that this has actually drawn a precise and accurate trend line using the magnetic tool. And what we can do is we can actually extend this line and we will have our trend line set right here. As you can see, all I did was I double clicked it and it will give you some settings where you can actually select to extend to the right. You can also select to extend to the left, and there are other settings that you can use here. You can add price labels, for example, and some stats, as you can see here. You can also add some text to this drawing, or you can also add some coordinates, and you can also change the visibility of the item that you've just drawn. So with visibility, it will now depend on whether you want this trend line to be shown on a different time frame or not. So these are some settings that you can actually change to your preference when you're performing technical analysis on any given chart. So if I just select OK here, we can see that we have drawn a very precise trend line. Whereas when you're drawing a trend line, you would be in freehand mode. So if I deselect the magnetic tool, and I'm just going to change the setting of this trend line back to not extended to the right. And what we're going to do is we're going to hide this trend line. So if I right click and select hide, I'm now going to redraw the same trend line in freehand mode. So if I select this tool and draw the exact same trend line, you can see that it's freehand and it's quite difficult to get it precise. I would have to try and get it precise, which you can. However, it's just easier and quicker when the trend line is just snapping to the highest price of the bar or candlestick as you move the mouse closer. So I'll give another example just using the magnetic tool. So if we draw it from this high right here, and can you see how it just easily snaps? And we're going to draw the trend line to this high for this candlestick, and you can see that this is very precise. And let's try and draw another one from the high of the one that we've just drawn and compare it and see how straight it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in and comparing these two, you can see that the one that we drew in freehand mode, which is the longer line, what I'll do is I'll change the color of this line to yellow. It is slightly under the high of that candle, whereas in the blue line is actually exactly on the high, and the yellow line at the bottom is just above. So this is all about precision here. So if I just auto scale this chart, all I'm doing is double clicking where the dates are. This will auto scale my chart.